What's up? Welcome to this video. I'm going to make an intraday call on Bitcoin and just understand that over the past 300 days or so, we have had around an 80% win rate. This is publicly documented here on YouTube and Twitter. So if you're new here, you're probably in the right place because we tend to be right more often than we're wrong. Just a reminder that as of the time that you're watching this video, you have less than 72 hours to join Blueprint if you want. This is the same proven system that has gotten 50% of the students that went through this program funded. It is the same exact system and the same exact methodologies that are responsible for what you've been seeing over the past 300 days, where I've managed to achieve a very decent win rate. If you want to learn this for yourself at quite literally the lowest price that it's going to be, this is a Black Friday offer. It's going to end in 72 hours. After that, we're going to close Blueprint and I'm just going to go all in into helping everyone inside Blueprint get funded within the next 90 days. If you've already seen some results and you've already made some money from just watching my YouTube videos, you are going to make 10 times more once you join Blueprint. Again, 72 hours left. And this will be the last video that you see where I'm going to mention this, potentially next Monday. But outside of that, it's going to be closed. But otherwise, let's get into the video for today. So I'm going to first get into the trade call for today, and then I'm going to get into kind of like the trade breakdown from yesterday, because yesterday was a kind of a complicated day to navigate, even though the overall kind of bias was playing out for a period of time. Ultimately, we just didn't really manage to get an entry, or at the very least, I was stopped out with a very small loss. But just kicking things off on the daily chart for Bitcoin, we are looking bullish because we have a bullish daily bias. It does not mean, though, that price is just going to jump straight up. In the event where price just keeps dumping from now until the time you watch this video, then guess what? You just don't trade, basically, because there are no conditions that are met to where you will enter a trade. To anyone that doesn't understand what this means, essentially, like, part of the system that we trade here is that we require time frame alignment, which means if we're going long, we want to make sure that the hourly, the daily, and the 5-minute chart all point towards the upside. In the event that by the time you watch this video, it's just bearish, 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 guess what? Either the 1 minute or either the 1 hour or the 5 minute is going to be misaligned compared to the daily chart. And that's one of the reasons why you would just not trade straight up. There are two possible scenarios that I see happening for Bitcoin in terms of confirming a bullish trade. That's going to be a change in state of delivery on the 1 hourly chart on both levels. First one is 92,550, the second one is 92,800. In the event that you get a hourly candle close above this level in between the hours of 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. New York, then you are going to start to just look for price to retrace into this level and potentially form a new high. Now, what is the reason why I am not looking at lower levels? Well, that's because if you just zoom out into the lower levels, you don't really see any sort of fair gap or order block that we can take advantage of, at least not until all the way here, where you have an order block, and over here we have a fair gap. The problem with using either one of these levels for today's intraday trade is that, well, that's a really long way away. And by the time you get there, guess what? Your hourly is going to be in very bearish order flow, and it's going to take quite a lot for that order flow to change. So today, there's realistically only the possibility of momentum trading, where basically you buy high and sell higher, rather than looking for some sort of sweep or whatever before going to the upside. Now, I'm not saying that it's completely impossible, because if we go down to the 5-minute chart, this Asia lows is known as a weak low because it didn't really sweep much liquidity prior to forming low. But outside of that, again, the problem with using this as the key level for today is that by the time you get down there, you are going through you're going to form so much resistance that it almost makes no sense to take a long in the first place. So I'm just only giving you guys the trade setups that are relevant. And there's a very important lesson for you guys, which is when you're trading, you only mark out levels and you only use levels that are relevant to the trade itself. You don't sure, I am very sure that the previous all-time high is going to be hit at some point in time. I'm sure it is a very important level. Is that going to be relevant for what you're doing right now, where you're looking to enter into a trade and close it within like an hour? Probably not. So just make sure that you take into account relevancy when you are marking out trade ideas. Secondly, this is still quite likely though, because over here you have relatively equal lows, and in the event that you sweep this before you form a 5-minute CISD and ultimately confirm that 1 hourly CISD, very positive signal, essentially this is going to be kind of what you want to look for. And by the time you watch this video, as long as either one of this has happened, feel like you're welcome to just start going long. And as usual, I will post any of my trade updates on X. Unfortunately, and one thing I do have to apologize about yesterday is that I just did not really have the bandwidth to be able to be on Twitter, be as active on Twitter as I usually am. Just fun fact, we had a Blueprint call yesterday where everyone is basically just live trading alongside me. I'm just there giving live commentary. People ask me questions, and this is something that is a part of Blueprint, and this is on the screen, just some things that people have said about the call. But otherwise, Today, I don't have any such calls, so as much as possible, I'm going to be active on Twitter, so look out for that. And yeah, outside of that, if you just start dumping or you just do not get any sort of bullish kind of momentum, then yeah, it's just going to be a no trade. Besides that, let's start taking a look at Ethereum now. Ethereum has a bearish daily bias compared to Bitcoin, so technically we should be looking for shorts on Ethereum, but in the event that Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum is very likely to follow as well. And so in terms of Ethereum, it's the same exact situation where you want to see a CISD above 32.55 before you start momentum trading this. Just be aware that there is a fair bit of gap above here, which is probably going to be like the intraday target is probably going to end up somewhere around there. There is also a possibility that you could sweep out the lows right here that we talked about. Same exact lows on Bitcoin, where you sweep the lows, you fill in the fair value gap, and then you get a CISD towards the upside around 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. New York. That is still going to be a valid setup, but overall, you also have relatively equal highs. Essentially, Ethereum is just consolidating. And speaking about consolidation, I'm going to take a couple of minutes just to break down the trade from yesterday and what made yesterday so difficult to trade. If you guys would like to just take the opportunity to learn some alpha, then stick around for like a couple of minutes, or like even just a minute. So if you take a look at yesterday, prior to the New York session, price was basically trading within a range. And this was ultimately what led to the system struggling a lot, especially like if you've been reading my live commentary on Twitter. And like ultimately we did manage to get an entry, but it was not the best. And eventually I just made the call to stop it out, even like with a tiny loss, because ultimately I stopped out the trade here. My stop loss was originally here. So if I didn't stop it out, I would have like just hit my full stop loss. So I basically got out at around break even. But one of the things to understand about yesterday's situation is that this system that you're watching right now, right, this AOC playbook, is not particularly great at performing inside consolidating conditions. And this is not a bug. It's more of a feature of the system. My system is amazing when you have clear directional movement, when you have clear trends, we are able to make like just huge money. And as an example, on Tuesday, we got a huge trade and basically I called the trade to the T, to the minute, and yeah, it just gave us a lot of profit. For some people, it made like their entire month basically in a single trade because this was the move that we managed to catch. Now, it's not often that we will always get those conditions, given the fact that, well, it's December, we're getting close to the holiday, kind of season. And I'm sure a lot of you, even like if you're working in a full-time job, you might have already started taking things a little bit easier, like just, yeah, it's already the end of the year, let's just start relaxing. And same thing goes for, the big players, the market makers, the institutional traders, right? A lot of people are already starting to take it easy here. And it's also the reason why December, historically speaking, is not a particularly good trading month, especially once you start approaching the Christmas kind of couple of weeks, like the 2 weeks between Christmas to the first week of the new year. I'm probably even just going to take that entire like couple of weeks, maybe 1 week off, because truthfully there is just not much to do, not much to trade. But yeah, just understand that yesterday big struggle was the fact that you were in a range. Ultimately we were trying to trade the range deviation, but ultimately we were trying to catch a momentum trade because the bias for yesterday was towards the downside. But before price actually went down, it ended up being a range deviation where after you sweep out the range lows, you go sweep out the range highs before you dump, which yesterday was a day that would really favor like consolidating or like trade. Yesterday was an example of a day that would really favor range trading systems. Unfortunately, it's not particularly great for the system that we're using here. But again, you got to learn how to identify these and just understand like some trading days are not, like some days are not trading days. You could sit there, like I was sitting there with like 40 people inside Blueprint on a live call, and for basically an hour we're just in a trade, just watching it chop around and wondering what to do. Eventually I decided to cut it out. And you could argue that, yeah, I did all of that work for nothing. But the truth is, if I didn't, like some days are like that. It's perfectly normal. It's a part of trading. It's not every day that you're going to get like A+ conditions and price is just going to whoosh, move immediately after you get into the entry. So yeah, just a little bit of mindset and a little bit of like trade breakdowns. But in terms of Ethereum, you're looking at a very similar setup. Now, before we move into Solana, just a quick heads up. I'm going to be doing a Q&A call with the VIP members tomorrow. It's basically like a little private community. Usually what the VIP members paid before was $200 to join, but if you'd like to take part in the Q&A and just speak directly with me, maybe you would like to ask me some questions, feel free to pick up a guest pass at $28. It's less than the cost of a meal. I'm going to be running the call for like 2 hours, so you're basically getting access to my time for like $15 an hour, which is absolutely insane. If you guys would like to, there is a link down in the description box below. It's just a Google Doc. It tells you what this is about and what this Q&A call is. And under there'll be a payment link. You go through the payment link, you will receive the information of the Zoom link to your email. So pretty straightforward. Not going to talk too much about that. only if you're interested. If you're not, like, again, it's a gas pass. So outside of that, Solana looking pretty bullish. In terms of the hourly chart, you have a very clear PD array over here that you can take advantage of. So you're just going to be looking for price to get back into the zone right here. And then CISD sometime during the New York session between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And once you get that 5-minute CISD, you are going to be all good to go in terms of Solana. And as usual, I'll be posting everything on X. This week has been a tough week to navigate. Just the fact that, we've been having bullish buyers, bearish buyers, bullish buyers, bearish buyers. Again, it's just one of those examples of like choppy, kind of ranging conditions that this system does not perform particularly well in, which is, again, it's not a bug. It's just a feature of this. When we optimize for trends, we're going to naturally struggle in ranges. Any system that tries to optimize for both is just going to fail quite miserably at both. So for now, let's just hope that next week we're going to get better conditions, more clear directional movement. Let's make us a big bag before Christmas. And then we can all take a holiday and come back on the second week of the new year But outside of that, see you guys next Monday. And just remember that Blueprint will close in under 72 hours. So that's Monday. You have until Monday to decide if you'd like to join. If you don't worry about it. If you'd like to join, there's already so many good things being said about it that, it's the reason why I have so much conviction in this, in this program. I just genuinely believe that this is going to get you over the hump and get you finally to the point where you can make a full-time living out of trading. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. Ciao, ciao.